Origins of
No,
things.
start that over. I'm sorry. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hello and welcome to UTOS, Origins of Things and Stuff. I'm your host, Illuminatia.
And I am your esteemed co-host and know-nothing person, Nick the Rat.
You know stuff and things.
I know some more
Come
of
on
the
now.
stuff parts. You know more of the thing stuff, and I know a little bit of the stuff, I think.
Today's episode is about the origins of drinking and booze, and who started it all, and how it was discovered, and why we can drink, and why we drank in the first place, and how it evolved into today. So let's do a little bit of an introduction. So apparently, eating fermented things started as early as how long ago
9
was
o'clock
it?
in the morning?
10 million years ago.
Oh, okay.
Our early human ancestors found and ate fermented fruit to get crunk. And this goes along with the drunken monkey theory, which was that, these our early ancestors, our ape simian ancestors, would eat this fermented fruit, and some of them would get fucked up, and then some of them got too fucked up and died, and eventually, we developed an enzyme, and it's called alcohol dehydrogenase. So we'll go into all that in a second. I won't jump right into the science of it. But we produce a lot more of this enzyme than other of our simian relatives. And so I guess we just took advantage of it and just started drinking. So why? Why did humans start drinking?
It's fun.
Well, it's obvious, yeah. It releases endorphins and serotonin and dopamine. So that's why you feel good, and that's why people look not as ugly when you're drinking. That was rude. Everybody's beautiful. It sparks creativity. A lot of authors and artists claim to get drunk before they start writing. Who is it? Hemingway. He said, "Write drunk and edit sober." So there's evidence there.
That's actually a good tip right there. I like that tip.
I do that, and it does make editing a little challenging.
It's like, what was I thinking when I said this?
What was I going for here?
A little difficult.
So I don't know if I can support that, but it worked for Hemingway clearly. So, but I'm not Hemingway. It makes one aware of surroundings, and stress levels decrease. So you become less aware of the past and the future, and you focus a little bit more on the present. It's almost like a Zen thing. It's a forced Zen, like being in the present. And you kind of have to be in the present so you don't knock shit over. It brings down social barriers. Throughout, since the beginning of time, beginning of civilization rather, bringing alcohol to another individual or a family or a community was seen as an act of peace and friendship. So it might have stopped some wars. Subsequently, Roman soldiers would get drunk before they went to war, and I guess that was an uncommon thing. There was a lot of other types of soldiers that would just get fucked up and go to war. I don't blame them. So, yeah, that kind of sums up this whole thing about the general.
Do you think going to war drunk, do you think that makes you a better warrior, or you just don't care about dying at that point? Because if I had to fight a drunk guy, and he's like, I'd come and stab him. I'd rather come in a little bit, sharp on my senses, unless I really didn't care about anything.
Well, I mean, that could go both ways. So, if you think about, if you're really anxious, if you're really scared, your performance might be, you might be a little bit more apprehensive,
a little hindered,
yeah, not as strong. Whereas if you're drunk, you're like, fuck it. I mean, it's not like kung fu where you have to be conscientious of all of your movements and stuff. Like you just going in, you got a sword, and you're like, fuck it, chop, chop, chop. You can be drunk doing that. So
and, you don't get too drunk. I guess a little tipsy. You get in a little bit of the zone. You have a little bit of alcohol. You don't want to go too far because you don't want your soldiers carrying you around in the field. Like there you go.
Hey, buddy, you gotta wake up. Yeah, it's time to fight.
They have Advil and Tylenol back then.
I don't know.
No, probably not. No.
They had. I probably just like nailed holes in their heads. Like I guess that would help headaches.
Relieves the stress.
Ting 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 ting. You feel better? No. Aw. Damn it. I wonder how long it took them to realize that it was actually just killing people. Anywho. So hey, let's find out the origin of the word alcohol. Ooh. It is another Arabic term, al, which we've learned before means the, and kahul.
I make White Russians with kahul. That's kahul. I'm sorry. All right, sorry.
You're funny. What was I saying? Yeah. So kahul. So that was it was basically the method that they used for processing makeup for women. So what they basically did was they heated up antimony sulfide. So it was kind of a semi-liquid. Started off.
Wait.
So what they
1 second. Sulfide, is that sulfur?
Well, antimony sulfide it comes from sulfur, but it's just bound with antimony. So any time you hear, it's not just pure sulfur.
What's antimony? I'm like really stupid. I'm a stupid person here. Let me actually look this up.
Okay.
Antimony sulfide, because this is really important stuff. Because this is makeup for women. They would put this on their face, like let's melt some antimony sulfide. Stupid people don't know what it is, like me. But it's a compound. It's a
yeah.
It looks like tinfoil.
Yeah, it's just.
All right, so they took two chemicals. Well, this is a whole nother origin of things and stuff. Makeup.
Yeah, hey, we could start. Maybe we can talk about that. That's kind of neat. But yeah, a lot of makeup was probably not good to put near your eyes, but nonetheless.
So I'm going a little bit off course. It's still in this main topic area though, so it's trying to keep it there. But do you think they made this stuff and they put it on women's face and then they started making out with these women and then they got drunk? That's probably
I mean, it's funny because think about it. You know how the phrase you drink until they look pretty.
Yeah.
But it's literally the term alcohol literally comes from a process that was intended to make women look pretty. Makeup. It's pretty fucking wild, right?
Makes me a pretty woman. All right, so
you're already a pretty woman.
So they formed there was a vapor that they formed from this.
So yeah, so what they do was they'd separate it and the same like a distillation process, I suppose, where they just would separate the solid and then the vapor would go through a tube and get and you'd be left with this really fine powder. So, yeah, that's what they use. But obviously, in our case, we want the shit that's on the other side to get drunk with. So that the vapor and the collection of the water and the alcohol. See, alcohol it has a lower heating point or lower, boiling point. Fuck.
This is really weird. So they vapored. They heated up chemicals, and then the stuff that came out on the other side they drank, and the other side they put on women's faces. They
didn't drink that stuff. No, that was just for the separation. But basically, alcohol was named after that process. Oh. Even though it's not, they didn't drink the product. That was just put on women's faces.
Okay. I was a little confused there.
Yeah, that was a little unclear. See, I'm hungover in spirit of this episode, and to in honor of our ancestors that made it possible for me to feel like shit in the morning.
Cheers! I'm trying to get over my hangover right now with my pineapple, and I got some wine over here. there's sulfates in wine, isn't there? Is it sulfur and sulfates in makeup? I should just rub it on my face or something. I'm pretty. I'm pretty. Okay, that's probably not going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all right.
It's okay.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, the general. So obviously, the very very basic method of making ethanol, which is alcohol, was transforming grains and whatnot into sugar, and then the yeast eats the sugar. So what happens is they excrete. It's basically yeast pee. So they excrete the ethanol as a byproduct, and they do this. It turns out that by doing this, it kills other types of microbes. They can't digest it. It kills them. So bacteria and stuff, it's not present because the alcohol pee is killing them, or the yeast pee is killing them.
I always thought it was yeast farts, but I guess the yeast farts are the bubbles. It's not like what you're drinking, because you don't really drink that. Maybe it'll make you look.
That's the CO2. So when you're fermenting, you need to have the gas exchange while you're fermenting, because they produce a lot of CO2 as well. So that's why a lot of the times you'll see during fermentation, you have to have some kind of air ducts or air, like a
fart
spout.
hose.
Yeah, like a little fart thingy. Yeah, that's basically their CO2. They're just their little farts, and then the ethanol is their pee.
I'm going off topic a little bit again, but does yeast do they split apart, or do they have sex and stuff?
Well, they're a budding. Yeah, they can produce asexually. Okay. They are a budding yeast. So
as long as I'm not drinking jizz and it's just pee and farts, that's cool with me.
Yeah. I think I threw up a picture of yeast at some point. And you can see the little guys just. Yeah. So the yeast that is used for brewing is called Saccharomyces cerevisiae. And what's interesting is they have basically different breeds of Saccharomyces, which, they produce different enzymes, I guess, that will alter the taste of the beer or the alcohol. So there is different types of yeast that they use specifically for types of alcohol. So there is a beer yeast and various species of beer yeast, white wine yeast, red wine yeast, for whiskeys, like they're all different, which is interesting to me, but so
the proof.
Yeah, those are those little guys. They smell nice. I don't know, to me.
I've made bread. I'm a big fan of making bread, and it's got this weird smell to it, but it's not like totally horrible. It's kind of it tickles the nose. It's a nose tickler. It's in there.
Yeah. Well, apparently we weren't alone, because evidently our ape simian ancestors would smell it and they're like, "Oh damn, that smells kind of nice," and they went and ate it. And there's a lot of benefits too. You can there's probiotics and different types of.
I just thought of something really gross, and I don't know if I should bring it up on the show.
Let's do it.
Do it? Okay.
Don't be a pussy.
I'm gonna go there. Again, you just. You said the monkeys smelled it, and they said it smells good, so they ate it. I wonder if that's where oral sex came from.
Let's think about this. I mean, we could do a whole episode on that if you want. That's gross.
It's very gross.
Like, I'm not going to judge people on what they like. If
well, they're monkeys. They don't know what they're like. Oh, maybe I'll get drunk off of this, and they went face first into a foamy place. Oh boy.
We just lost all of our listeners. No. Well done. We just lost them all. Oh no.
Well, who knows? There's grosser things have happened in history that probably have gotten us to this point where we are today.
Do that.
But well, let's.
Well, so do you want to know how we can drink alcohol and why it doesn't kill us and why it kills a lot of other types of things?
I use a cup.
Haha.
Yeah. Yes, I would. I would love to know this information.
Well, all right then. So going back to that drunken monkey hypothesis. So we have an enzyme called ADH4, which stands for alcohol dehydrogenase 4. By the way, any type of enzyme that ends with ase means it's implying it's a digesting enzyme. It's getting rid of something. So protease just means it's digesting a certain type of protein and so on. Yeah. So if you hear that, you can be like, I know, because, sometimes the media likes to throw around these science words just to sound super smart.
You said ACE, like ACE?
ASE.
ASE. Like when you spell ass wrong.
Pretty much.
It's because those monkeys, they ate everything. Okay.
So yeah, the little suffix is it's implicative. Is that even a word of digesting a thing?
Why isn't that like more prominent in today's culture? Like I've never said I'm going to the restaurant to have some food ace or you
would be the ace. You would be so if you're consuming or digesting the food, you would be the ace in this.
And my mouth would be the ace.
You're the acer. Yeah, so it's just a process. It implies the process of something breaking something else down.
All right, we're acing this podcast right now.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah, so they produce this enzyme. We produce this enzyme in a pretty high amount. But for whatever reason, oddly enough, so I'll talk about this later in a little tiny bit. So I don't know if you heard about the Asian glow, Asian flush response to alcohol.
I know all about this. It's called Asian alcohol syndrome, and it's real. I had I hang out with a lot of Asian people because why not? And whenever they drink, because I drink, they always turned really red, and I was like, "What the hell's going on? Why are you getting all red and flustered?" And they were like, "Oh, it's AAS," and I was like, well, "This sounds like some baloney," but it turns out it's
absolutely true.
It's totally real, and it's not very good either. It's not good for them.
Mm-mm. Yeah, so all that is their liver isn't producing that alcohol dehydrogenase, so they produce less of that enzyme than other types of ethnicities.
It's weird that it's mostly Asian people though, because we're all humans. Except me, I'm a rodent. But it's weird that it goes after certain cultures. Certain cultures get hit with certain things. It's kind of shitty.
Yeah, and it's odd too because the Chinese, as far as we know, there's the archaeological evidence points to the Chinese being the first people to actually make alcohol. So I guess they're a glutton for a punishment.
I guess so. Oh, I guess the actual PC term is alcohol flush reaction, AFR.
Yeah, or alcohol flush response. There's different
response
for it. Yeah. So I threw up a picture of just the general. Now I don't want to make people glaze over, but just to show kind of the general reaction that you see with
the stomach lining,
digesting enzymes. Yeah, the stomach lining one. This came from online microbiology and biology notes, microbnotes.com.
Do you have to be a nerd to log in there?
Well, no.
Sure.
I mean, you could just be somebody who is hungry for knowledge.
It's like hip to be a square these days.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's true. What is hip? Tell me if you think you know.
It's two things that are hurting me right now.
Yeah, so you have your ethanol, and then the alcohol dehydrogenase breaks it down into, I always fuck this pronunciation up, It's a acetaldehyde. Acetaldehyde.
Acetaldehyde.
Yeah, acetaldehyde, and that's what is going through my bloodstream currently. That's the shit that causes a hangover, and the reason why you get dehydrated is because it's kind of hungry for H2O. Requires, your body's trying to fight it, and the acetaldehyde. Fuck me.
Acetaldehyde. You're saying it perfectly fine.
Acetaldehyde.
Acetaldehyde.
Yeah. So anyway, eventually that gets broken down into acetate, which is totally used. Like you use acetyl-CoA.
Isn't acetate plastic? I used to work in an art store, and we'd sell sheets of acetate, and it was just like a clear plastic film that you could cut.
It must be something else. Yeah. I'm not super good at my chemistry anymore, but I'm pretty sure since it's in our bodies, I don't know.
The human body is a plastic maker. We were wrong all these times. We were like, plastic's evil, but we're creating it in ourselves. Maybe. I don't know.
No, I don't know. Maybe it's something else.
It could be.
With a similar name. Yeah. But yeah, it makes the acetyl-CoA, which eventually turns into, it's fine. Your body digests it, figures it out. So. It does come with consequences. Obviously, I'm having trouble speaking because my head is not optimal. A little bit of pain.
So another sidetracker. Your head is probably not optimal right now because you're talking to me, and I'm like a brain virus, which is bad. But is there any hangover prevention tips that you could think of, like greasy foods and all that stuff? And
hold on. I wonder if I can just grab something real quick.
Go grab it. Go grab it real quick. I'll go grab something real quick, too. Hold on. Let me go. Ah!
I'm back.
Me too. I just got back too. I grabbed a book of palm reading. I don't think that has anything to do with this episode.
So John C. Borak, he's this guy. He does this podcast called No Agenda. He's a cool guy. Former writer of PC Magazine. There was an episode where he recommended using this stuff.
Knack.
It maintains cellular health. It's a free radical protection. So I'm guessing that...
Should you take that before protesting? No.
I mean, acetaldehyde is probably some kind of form of free radical. Anyway, so if it's protecting you from that, it works for me actually pretty well.
Oh.
Zinc, vitamin B, and obviously lots of water.
Zinc helps with
grease.
Water. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about grease. I don't know why it would work. I really don't know about that.
Okay, so I've heard a whole bunch of these fighting hangover things. Drinking more alcohol. That seems stupid to me. I've never tried that one because I'm like, fuck that. The grease thing, I think it might help with flushing the system out. I don't know about you, or this is gonna be kind of gross too, but I'm going there. The day after you have a lot of liquor and stuff to drink, you might the next day, I don't know. Might be the grease that I'm eating.
Well, it could also be you're killing your microbes in your digestive tract. Oh. So, yeah, you have a lot of beneficial bacteria that you end up killing off in your microbiome.
Oh no! So I should eat yogurt. Okay, so my new regimen will be water, yogurt, and for some reason I don't know if this is true, but I used to think that sugar was good to take if you were hungover because your blood would go after the sugar in the sugar instead of the alcohol or something. I don't know if that makes any sense at all.
I'll have to look into that. I have no idea.
Okay, well, I think the best thing to do is drink water. Is probably. And
it's the best, unless you can't keep it down. I've gotten drunk enough where I couldn't keep down water. That was pretty bad. That was after a show, and the bartender was like super friendly, and he was like kept giving me rum, and then I got so drunk I was like, I was just drinking, like I wasn't really thinking about it, just like mindlessly drinking, and then I don't realize that I'm drunk until something happens that I'm not as good at something as I used to be, like talking or sitting.
Oh no.
And the guy was talking about his wife giving birth. He was like pantomiming like him like pulling a baby out, and he was talking. I'm sitting there like, what? And then I realized that I was like, am I dreaming? Like, and I kept going kind of like in and out of consciousness, like watching this guy like doing this. I'm like, fuck.
Most guys don't pull the babies out, by the way. I don't know.
He was probably full of shit, but it was definitely entertaining. Yeah.
Indeed.
So yeah, the next morning was brutal.
Yeah,
quite brutal.
I actually do you grow a tolerance to alcohol, drunkenness or something? Because maybe it's just I've learned not to be a complete idiot and drink too much.
Well, I think alcoholism comes from the fact that people don't have a whole lot of consequence from drinking it, because that alcohol dehydrogenase, for whatever reason, is more efficient in those individuals than others. So, yeah, they get really, really drunk and they fuck around, and then the next day they're not punished as much. So all they get is the good stuff. So
I've experienced the bad stuff, and that made me drink less. Like I guess knowing your limit is
knowing your limit. Yeah. So it's just, I mean, I know people who don't get hungover at all, and I am quite envious.
Have you ever experienced fucking rotating spinning room syndrome?
Oh yes. Ugh. Oh yes. Oh, that's horrible. That's the worst. Like it's not even spinning. It's just like and I'm sitting there like, ah.
There is
why
you should not drink to that point. But if you do, and you're in this situation, I do have a tip. It's I think it's because something in your ear gets off level or something, like because your whole system gets fucked up. But if you put your hands down on a flat surface, it kind of levels you out. Your body kind of starts to find the level, and then the shit stops moving around. It's still no fun though. It's a fucking horrible situation.
And I had my wild days. Like there may or may not have been other substances involved as I was spinning out of control. I'm pretty sure it brought my IQ down a few points, but that's okay.
Or it brought it up. You might have learned some stuff about guys pulling babies out of stuff.
Yeah, that was cool. Wow, we went off, man. So there's our a little bit of science behind all this. Our alcohol dehydrogenase. Remember that, kids?
Gotcha.
That's what's working overtime in your liver, stomach lining, liver. Yeah.
Liver alone. You can't get a liver replacement, right?
Well, what's cool actually is the liver can function even if only 30% of it is there. It's a pretty hardy organ.
Ooh.
The cellular recovery is actually pretty amazing. And right now they just developed a method of using CRISPR to kind of repair damaged liver tissue.
Huh.
Yeah, so it's fighting cirrhosis. Is it cirrhosis or cirrhosis? I think it's of the liver.
I'm gonna say, well, actually, I've heard cirrhosis of the liver, which is probably like a necrosis. Like necrosis is gross. Pretty it's much. Like the death of cells, right? Or something. Ugh.
Yeah, like they'll call like rattlesnake venom necrotic venom.
Like gangrene is like your shit's dying around wherever it was. Interesting possible fact: if it came from Nick the Rat. And I'm saying that you can't really try. I've heard seltzer or bubbly liquid is bad for your liver, even if there's like nothing bad in it. Like seltzer is just bubbly liquid, and I heard.
I mean, it's CO2. Yeah.
So CO2 is bad for the liver?
Not necessarily. I mean, you got a lot of CO2 in your. I mean, you release it when you're breathing, so you don't want a whole lot of it. But I mean, it's just.
If you're drinking it like straight up, like.
I don't know about that. Maybe
I read that somewhere. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's true, but you could do your own research and look into it if you want. Maybe I'll.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll let you know.
It's okay.
The origins of things and stuff. See, that's more of a things category.
Oh, it's not part of the stuff category? Okay.
Yeah. Like stuff could be like verbs, like orgy.
But things is seltzer.
Things is seltzer.
Seltzer and orgies. That should be the next podcast. The origins of seltzer and orgies.
Yes.
I'd
See,
tune into that one.
I'm glad I clarified that for you.
So you were talking about a lot of ancient cultures getting into this, right?
Yeah. So like I mentioned before, the earliest known culture was the Jaihu, China.
I don't know.
Was in Jaihu, China.
Oh.
And they would make alcohol from barley, rice, and wheat. And then eventually they were the first to domesticate corn, believe it or not. So this was like, let me see. This is 6,000 BC. Grapes were domesticated. They were the first to make grape wine. And then it's in Haji Firuz Mountains of Iran. Yeah, and this is just a general overview of all these cultures, and then I'll get into the nitty gritty of the beginning with China here.
Oh yeah, because it looks like you went from China to Iran to Egypt.
Yeah, just all over the place. Yeah, and then the first barley beer was made in 3500 BC in Gauden Tepe. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm sorry about my mispronunciations. This is again in Iran.
I would say it's Godin Tepe.
Godin
Tepe. I have no idea.
That sounds sexier. I'll go with that.
All right, cool.
So, and then large-scale beer brewing and wine brewing was started in ancient Mesopotamia and Egypt. So this is around 3000 BC. Yeah, Phoenicians and the Greeks and the Canaanites. They started actually growing the first vineyards.
Canaanites?
Yeah, I don't know.
What the fuck's a Canaanite?
I have no fucking clue, dude. I just got the notes off this National Geographic article that I paid for.
Hold on, you paid for it? You're a nerd.
I started. Yeah.
It's fine. Let's look up Canaanites really quick on the Wikipedia over here. We got
Canaanite.
If I actually search for Canaanites, it puts me to the middle of the page. It looks like it has something to do with the Hebrew Bible, somewhere in Jerusalem or something. I'm gonna say they're like old Jewish people, Canaanites. That's my ignorant guess.
Oh, I'll have to look into that more. There's so many things that, so many things I'm learning. Everybody's learning. It's great. Maybe somebody's going to be like, excuse me, but actually.
Well,
and then I'll be like,
they're probably reading Wikipedia, or they're Wikipedia editors. Here, the word Canaanites serves as an ethnic catch-all term covering various indigenous populations, both settled and nomadic pastoral groups throughout the regions of the southern Levant or Canaan. And that looks like it's in like a Jerusalem area.
Nice.
Yeah. So there you go. It's just, it's
okay.
There you go. Okay. So
yeah, they were getting drunk too.
Before Christ, they were getting hammered. Nice.
Oh fuck yeah! Come on now. Everybody liked alcohol, bro. Honduras. Yeah, they found archaeologists found evidence of making alcohol from cacao.
What? Cows?
Cacao.
It's cow. It's not cacao. What are you saying over here?
Cacao.
Oh, okay. You mean like chocolate? Chocolate beer?
Cacao.
So wait, I know this is not the topic, but cacao isn't that in like either cocaine as well?
I think that's a leaf. The cacao itself is the big chocolate, big nut thing that looks like a little. And then the cocaine is, I think it comes from a leaf, if I'm not mistaken.
Possibly on the same plant. Jeez. We should worship
I don't think
this
it's
thing.
the same plant.
Oh, it's not? Okay. I'm I'm going off of possible words that I might have heard of. Okay.
Well, I'm not an expert, but I mean, this is just from things that I kind of learned through osmosis throughout my life. So it just kind of goes, and then I'm like, I might recall this.
Do you know if alcohol affects osmosis? Does it make cells more porous? Is that even a thing?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No. I mean, unless, well, a lot of cells, it'll cause apoptosis, which is just the cells going.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, apoptosis.
What cells explode from alcohol? That's kind of.
Well, I mean, if you think about it.
Are they Asian cells?
Like, no. Well, any cell that dies undergoes apoptosis. So if you're thinking about like a bacteria cell, yeah, it just.
So they're like stars, because stars, when they die, they first shrink and then they explode. So, wow, cells are kind of like a microcosm.
They don't like literally explode. They're just kind of.
Well, popping explosion. I don't care what.
Yeah, well, their membrane is compromised, and then they just die, and then
okay. So it might be
your
like
body recycles.
Might be more of a than a.
Yeah.
Okay.
More like a. The circle of life.
They should have called it something other than apoptosis. They should have called it like a gave up tosis over here.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. That's so funny. Anywho, yeah.
Onward.
Yeah. So alcohol from cacao. That's basically the first liqueur. It's pretty cool. Yeah. Honduras. So physicians, this is going down a little bit further down the line here. Physicians in Italy popularized the Arabic method of distillation and fermentation in Europe. So thus hard alcohol became a thing.
Have you ever heard of soft alcohol? O'Doul's? I don't. It's not even alcohol.
Yeah, that's a good point. Usually, if you have hardcore porn, you also have softcore porn.
You can't have the hard without the soft.
You can't have hard. Yeah, like the delineation. I guess the soft is just implied in the first place, and then the hard alcohol is like, whoa.
I guess that just means the percentage of alcohol within it. So like there's like wine is like 15 to 20% alcohol, and then like grain alcohol is like 90% they have. I guess that would be the more percentage of alcohol within the liquid is probably the harder it is.
Something like that.
But then where's whiskey dick come from? No, I don't know. That's hard alcohol makes you soft.
Whiskey dick. I got you.
Okay.
Yeah. So then we got the Germans coming in. You know how they like to perfect everything because everything they do, they go fucking 100%, including trying to take over the world.
And chocolate.
Oh. Anyway, did you know the Germans actually took over the production of Jeep? Did you know that?
Of Jeep Cherokee?
Jeep, everything. All of the Jeep.
Why did I say Jeep Cherokee? Is that like a type of Jeep?
It is. Yeah. I just bought... Okay, listen to me. This is breaking news. Ding, 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 ding. I just bought a Jeep Wrangler. Sahara.
Why did you get a Jeep Cherokee? I heard a funny comedy bit about Jeep owners recently, and I'll send that to you later. I don't even know where that comes in, but it seems like there's did somebody get you into the Jeep, or did you want a Jeep?
So I went off-roading in Arizona about a year ago, and like I've had a big heart-on about it ever since. So that's my lady boner for the Jeep.
Awesome. So you got a Jeep what? A Jeep.
It's a Jeep Wrangler.
Jeep Wrangler.
Sahara.
Jeep Wrangler Sahara.
Yeah.
Chokes the desert.
It gets complicated. Like there's so many like freaking things and bells and whistles and shit.
Are you a Jeep expert now?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay.
There's too much to know.
I want to know about this Jeep Cherokee.
Yeah, that's just it's more like a mom van. I basically got a Barbie Jeep.
What color is it? Is it pink? Did you get a pink Jeep?
It is white. It is white. My buddy, he's just like...
Why'd you go white? If you're going to go through the mud and shit, you should have got like a fucking black or fucking muddy looking beast.
No, you don't want to hide your adventure. You want to put it out there. Like, look where I've been, motherfuckers. Look at all my mud.
Look at the marmoset strapped to the back of my Jeep.
Wait.
Blood and guts all over.
Is that what you imagine?
Well, yeah, if you got the driving through it, you're not stopping for a marmoset. You're going to go right through them. And you're going to see it now because you got a white Jeep. So it's going to be splattered all over the back.
Oh, that's so sad.
It's awesome. It's hard. It's
wow.
hard Jeeping. A white Jeep is hard Jeep.
I mean, that's pretty metal. Wow.
It is. Yeah. Well.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So the Germans own the Jeep now. I did not know this. This is a...
Yes. And they also...
They also own Europe, don't they?
Well, that's a different topic for another time.
Let's
But
get back
they
to
established in 1516 AD, they established the purity law. And help me with the pronunciation here because it's very German. It's
Reinheitsgebot. I don't know.
Reinheitsgebot. See, I got the
Reinheitsgebot.
We're totally butchering that and pissing off some Germans, maybe.
Yeah, it might
That's
be.
okay.
As long as we don't piss off the Dutch.
Yeah, that's disaster. So let's see. Yeah, and they basically established that 4 basic ingredients can only be used to consider something to be beer. So water, barley, hops, and then it was assumed that yeast would be, so.
Oh, I thought it was the letter B, the letter E, and the letter R. I'm getting cheesier by the moment.
Oof. Oh, man.
I'm sorry.
All right. Oh, that.
Yeah, that was bad.
I'm trying to laugh.
No, don't. Just let's go.
I want to be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they also cultivation of yeast, that, basically they were trying to mitigate the growth of wild yeasts and whatnot. So they became more specific in how they cultivated yeast as well. Huh. So that's kind of neat. And they started to realize that, these budding yeast, they added different characteristics of flavor and texture into their beer. So they kind of,
Do you think they could use I'm sorry, I'm breaking in again. I got all these stupid... Do you think they could use CRISPR to make different yeast flavors? Do you think that would be possible?
I used CRISPR on yeast, on Saccharomyces cerevisiae.
Now, do you ever eat it?
Red. I didn't eat it.
I taste...
Yeah, it just became red. I used CRISPR to make it red. That's all. That's my contribution to humanity.
You should make... Okay. We've talked about this. I don't know if it was last week or at a different time, but you said you could do different experiments. There should be a flavonoid CRISPR yeast sector of your job, and you should have people tasting yeast. Maybe you could start with monkeys. Yeast.
Aw, little monkeys.
Taste this yeast. And if they don't spit it out,
they follow me around like, when's your next experiment?
We need that new yeast flavor.
I'm a monkey following me around. This is... Yeah.
It's like you could probably use CRISPR to make crazy flavors, right? Right now they don't. They just use sugar or something. I don't even know how they do.
Yeah.
Who are these flavor scientists? What magic do they do?
I could... So there's this big yeast company in San Diego called White Labs. And they're basically... They got the yeast industry by the balls.
You should drive up in your white Jeep and be like, I'm ready to work.
I've applied there a couple of times a few years ago, and they did not even consider me. So apparently,
but that was previously before you had a white Jeep.
That's a good point. Now, if I'm coming in my white Jeep, and then I could come in like in my interview, like first of all, I turned yeast red.
No! Don't tell them that. Don't tell them that.
Why?
Just bring a monkey with you. Drive up in a white Jeep with a monkey. You're in. You're gonna get the job. I'm telling you, it's gonna work.
Interview tips from Nick the Rat, everybody. All right.
I should probably stop drinking this wine over here. Okay. Anyway, yeast breeding.
All right.
You have to put like yeast porn on for them or something. How do you get them in the mood?
Oh, you put a little tiny TV with a little yeast. All it's doing is like budding slowly, and he's just like, "Oh, that's so hot! I'm gonna start budding."
I wonder if that actually works. Maybe yeast and cells and stuff that are splitting could look at this stuff. I should put this picture up. You have the picture here.
It might be hard without eyes, but okay.
Do they hear sound? What are their receptors? Does yeast have receptors?
Well, it's all chemical. They're all chemical receptors, as far as I know.
So pour yeast porn in there. I don't know how you do that. I don't know. Okay, I got.
I mean, there has to be some kind of chemical signal that makes it so that they know to bud. You know, like conditions are optimal for.
There's probably like yeast pills that Alex Jones sells. These look like beans. They look like Franken beans, like Bush's baked beans or something.
You know, it irritated me. Never mind.
Yeast?
I won't even go into that. Yeast. Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't drink so much wine next show.
Isn't it? What time is it over there? Like 5 or 6?
It's almost 5.
What time is it now? Oh, it's almost 5. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, all right. So China started this all. So these peeps be brewing. I have a picture of these guys. So I threw up a little picture of a clay thing that may have been used to grind down the grains that they would make into alcohol. So their basic method of making alcohol was grind down the grain, and it was in this little stone, basically like a mortar and pestle kind of deal, just huge, and grind down, and then they steam it for a while in these like big like wooden basket things. And then they'd spread it out and let it cool, and then they'd blend it with the yeast, and they just stir it around with the yeast for a while. And I think they put a cloth on top to allow for gas exchange, so that the CO2 wouldn't build up inside, and then you got your alcohol. So, but yeah, they pretty much understood that in order for yeast to make stuff, they needed the sugar. So they had to learn how to convert the grain into usable sugar. So that involved breaking it open, because all that good stuff's inside. Yeah, then use honey and grapes and berries and whatnot. So, it was interesting, considering that they also were disadvantaged in the way of alcohol dehydrogenase.
I wonder if that kicked in after maybe like because a lot of cultures, like I think the Irish people, they drank instead of water because their water was shit. They would drink like whiskey. And they call it the water of life because their water was like disgusting, but the alcohol kills whatever chemicals in there and they were just like, morning.
Right. Yeah, they wouldn't, because the bacteria would die and they can digest it. So it totally makes sense. I looked up the Gaelic word for water of life, and it's Gaelic is notoriously difficult to speak. So basically what I could find through various YouTube videos and trying to mimic what they were doing with their mouth and face when they were saying this word was ook, ooch, Betha.
I think I know what you might be talking about. There's like
ooch Bethka. Yeah.
It's as I went to Ireland once, and they still have English and Gaelic signs up, and I was like, "What? planet am I on right now? Because I was looking at the Gaelic stuff. But the it's not hooch. I'm thinking about hooch now, but there was a different word for like really very potent alcohol, and it wasn't whiskey, and it wasn't hooch. It was something else. I should look it up as you're. It's a very it could kill you. It's kind of like grain alcohol. It's kind of like a super duper potent hard liquor. It's
I mean the Irish can put it away, man. I don't know how. Like they could just drink and drink and drink and drink and drink, and then the next day they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to work now." It's like, oh my god, how do you do that? Anyway, sorry if I offended Irish people.
They all tuned out right now, and they just. Oh fuck! Oh no! We have to rename the show now and start over. Burn the studio. Oh, poutine! It's a poutine, Poitin, and not Putin from Russia. It's Poitin. Or
the delicious gravy snack from Canada. Oh. Gravy fries poutine. Ugh.
Oh, gravy fries.
How much? Like I'm putting on weight just thinking about it.
Disco fries.
Anyway.
Yeah.
That's giving me inappropriate feelings. Let's see here. So I mean, let's see here.
This picture of the Chinese people prepping brew.
There they are, and you can see the different steps. You can see the bro at the bottom there, whittling or twisting away at the little, like I said, at the kind of a mortar and pestle, and he's putting it all in that little basket right there. And there's that wood thing. You see the fire. See, and there's the other dude flattening it out. He's
like getting in there. He's like giving a massage. He's like, yeah.
Dude, look how buff his arms are. Like he spreads that shit out a lot.
It looks like there's a like a cat or a dog bed at the bottom too, but it's.
No, that's the grain, bro. That's all that grain. It does look like a dog bed. Maybe they had dogs in there at work. I don't know.
A grain.
And then that guy is stirring.
We should make a grain bed company, because like imagine sleeping on grains. It would just form to the body instead of like this foam shit. We could have a grain bed. It might stick to you a little bit.
It sounds like it'd be, there might be a bit like if you get water on it.
No,
it'll start sprouting.
Don't fart while you're sleeping. No wet farts.
Wow. This is an informative podcast where you learn a lot of things.
Oh yeah.
So good.
Indeed.
Oh yeah. Interview tips, like we got it all.
Let's go on to Iran. We were going to talk.
All right, let's talk about that.
What is ooey?
I don't know. I blame the alcohol. I was doing it. I was pouring out alcohol for all my ancient homies, and I just put ooey. I don't know. I like. This is a reference to a thing that I watch. Yep. Golden Tepe.
What do you watch? Okay, let's get back on.
There's a character called Mr. Poopy Butthole.
Oh.
And he's funny. He goes ooey all the time. So now I go ooey because I'm.
You're a nerd. That's why.
I'm easily influenced.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. You watch a shark puppet going. Hey.
I love. Okay, you know what? I love Shark Puppet. Okay. I love him. I have my Shark Puppet at work, actually. He helps me with my experiments.
You don't have a Shark Puppet at home and at work and in the kitchen? You should have like one for each
Unfortunately.
room.
I'd probably be a lot happier if I did.
You should look into this. But anyway, let's get back to the topic here. Iran.
Yeah, we're getting off topic. Yeah, so Golden Tepe in the central Zagros Mountains of Iran were the first to brew barley beer. So basically, archaeologists kind of came to this conclusion because I quoted from the Penn Museum website. A notched rope design decorated its exterior, included a knot which with loose ends hanging down, applied between two handles on the side of the vessel. A small hole had been punched through the body wall beneath the knot before firing. Our analysis of a shred from the jug with interior crisscross grooves filled with yellowish material showed that it was beer stone, which is calcium oxalate. It's a byproduct of barley beer production.
Sounds like S&M to me.
A lot of ropes. I mean, I don't know. I don't judge.
Eh.
They also found evidence of early wine jars, and evidently it was found in a room where, I mean, the shit was buried. So they found these wine jars, but there was also like jewelry strewn around, and like apparently this was a party room. They're like, holy shit, looks like people got drunk and partied, and like the ladies are taking off their jewelry. I don't know why you take off your jewelry.
You don't want to drink and get your bracelet stuck on your beard. The mountains over here looks. These Zargos mountains are incredible looking.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I like them. I don't know if you've ever seen them, but there's like snow in the background. It's weird. It's like snow and then like hot. It's like who knows what they have in Iran. It's a secret location. You can't go there.
For real.
I don't know.
But yeah, they found, and you know, they had bread and beer festivals. Like it was kind of a common thing. So yeah, I mean, alcohol again was kind of like just a big part of their culture. Egypt's interesting because they were the first to do large scale brewing, and they made a fuck ton of beer. They made so much beer. So, the pyramids of Giza were built by, they keep saying workers. I don't know if they're slaves. It's in debate currently if they were slaves or not.
Well, low paid, we're slaves right now. If you don't think
hold on. Okay. This was their incentive. They would ration beer to them. And the ration, they only got 10 pints of beer per day per person. That's all they got. Poor things. Only 10 pints.
How many pints are in a liter?
Let's see here.
Oh, it's 1.5 liters.
That's a fuck ton of beer, dude. So
this is wine. So this is like 3 beers in one. Oh boy.
They got a lot. So I mean, the government, they don't give us free beer. Let's just think about this for a second. Like, they actually make us pay a lot of money for alcohol and stuff. And I don't know about New York, but there are a lot of regulations in Southern California and San Diego specifically about alcohol and serving alcohol. Like, we're kind of known as being kind of dull and not partiers because we can't serve alcohol after a certain time. It really sucks. And I want to sign a petition to change all that shit because we got to fight for a right to party.
We do.
Because we owe it to our ancestors to be allowed to drink whenever the fuck we want. Anyway.
I have pros and cons for this. Have you ever been to Louisiana?
No.
You should go to New Orleans. It's great. You could drink in the street. You could just be like, hello, mate. I'm drinking this here alcohol right here in the street. How you doing? And then you could like walk into a bar. You could buy a beer.
Do you automatically like develop a really bad Cockney accent?
Sometimes. You never know what's going to happen down in Louisiana. Wow, but you could go into a bar, buy a beer, and be like, this place sucks. Take the beer and just leave and go to another bar with the beer. The problem is the touristy area. Maybe this wouldn't happen if it was totally widespread, because like if it was across America, maybe it wouldn't just be like a toilet bowl. But New Orleans, there's what's that street called? Bourbon Street. It's like, oh yeah, Bourbon Street. It's where all the tourists go. It smells like puke and shit. It's disgusting because everybody is way too drunk. It seems like nobody knows their limit. Maybe if we open the limits for everybody would learn their limits. But when you have it concentrated into one area, it seems like their limits are unknown. I don't know. But yeah, I think we're adult enough to drink. Jeez.
Well, I mean, San Diego I don't know how much you know about big cities in California, but the majority of them smell like piss and shit and vomit.
So does New York City.
Anyway,
New York City does
yeah.
too.
So it's like, what would change? Freedom.
I guess.
Freedom would change,
Well, you
bro.
could always do this. You could always take your cup of wine and put it in your shirt like this, and then just put a straw in there. And you're
Is this
fine.
another interview tip?
It's an interview tip. While you're interviewing with your monkey and your white Jeep, have a cup of wine in your shirt and put a straw in there.
Ma'am, what are you doing?
Living.
I'm being free.
America. But yeah, it's kind of sad, the limits. But alcohol it could be taken advantage of. But you learn. You know what? You need your advantages to be taken of, so you learn. Or something, I guess.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you do stupid shit when you're drunk, but the next day you're like, I'll never do that again. And you usually don't, unless you're an idiot or a monkey.
Which most people are.
Yeah, I guess they are. Yeah, fuck.
I don't want to sound... You know what? That sounded really arrogant. I take that back. I'm sorry.
No, you're right, though. Most people are fucking... I'm dumb. I'm like, I won't ever trust somebody again. But I've done it a few times, too many. Trust people. And then you get shafted in my yeast hole.
It's life, shafting, and mistrust, and sad. It's all right. It builds character. It'll be okay.
That's true.
We're okay.
Do you want to know what I bought in New Orleans once? I know we're sidetracking, but it's fine. We could go on forever. And I don't know how if you're busy or whatever, but I bought this thing right here. Do you see this?
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting that there. Do you know what that is?
No.
You have no idea what this thing right here is?
I can't really see it. It's blurry.
It's blurry.
It looks like one of those tiny little sound makers. Like it's got the little needles on them.
Sound
ding dong, ding dong, ding ding dong.
Nadia, it's called a music box. Jeez. A sound maker. I was in New Orleans and I bought this. I think you could hear it. If I put it on the table, you could hear it better.
The sound maker is accurate.
Do you know what song that is?
Oh,
did you not hear it?
I did. You're overmodulating the speakers even.
If you don't know what song that is, then I can't do this podcast with you no more.
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, you don't know what that is. When's the last time you saw Wizard of Oz, Nadia? Jeez.
Oh, that's what that is. Yes. Okay. Here we go.
You still don't know what it is.
No, I do, bro.
Yeah, then I'm putting you on the spot so much right now. I'm so sorry.
Well, that's okay.
Okay, the Scarecrow sings it.
I can handle it.
The Scarecrow sings it.
But guess what, dude?
Yeah.
So, our pyramids of Giza...
Oh, maybe it was just shortened out.
Were built by my documents. Yeah. So, are you talking right now? Because I can't hear you.
I lost you too, and I started to glitch myself out. No, we're back though.
Okay, sweet. That's great.
Let's go back onto the show over here. Let's get through this.
Yeah. So more Egyptian facts. Actually, let's go back to this. So they're royals, right? They would be the ones that would be mummified. And they would build them miniature breweries so that they can continue to brew beer in the afterlife.
Microbrews.
Isn't that little tiny microbreweries? Isn't that considerate? That's so nice.
It's very hip.
I want to be buried with a brewery. I would like that. Yeah. So there was a goddess of basically they called it, what do they call her? The lady of drunkenness. Her name was Hathor. She was the goddess of drunkenness, love, dance, partying, basically. So yeah, they even had a whole, and it was a lady. Like she was a cool chick.
The Egyptians appreciated women so much.
Yes, they did. Yeah, they were kind of seen as like they weren't equal to men. They just had they were just as important. They served very essential functions, and the divine feminine came from Egyptian. The measurements of a female are apparently a divine measurements as far as geometry goes. So that's a different thing altogether. Go into that, but yeah, they were they're regarded as holy, the bringers of life.
Definitely had an extra hole. Wait, actually, they have the same. No, they do have an extra hole. Oh God, I'm sorry.
Good job. Your anatomy's spot on.
Well, men and women both have urethras, but then there's the extra. Anyway, let's.
It's a hidey hole. We're getting canceled. All right. Yeah. So their brew method was they would harvest yeast culture separately. So I mean, I guess you could say they were pretty much like the first cell biologists. A lot of other people, they would just hope that the wild yeast would occur naturally and come in and get introduced to it when they were brewing. But they actually had vessels dedicated to growing yeast, which is kind of cool. So they would smash malted grain and water together at ambient temperature. And then they'd ground unmalted grain on the side, and then they would heat it up to about 80 degrees. So we had a cold, smashy stuff, and then we had another stuff that was heated up. And then they would combine the two.
Wait, hold on one second. I have to stop you. I know I'm being annoying now, but ancient Egyptians had thermometers?
Good point.
80 degrees, people. 80 degrees. You gotta get right there. It's like, how did they know what 80 degrees was?
I mean, they had a lot of shit. Like, they might have. You don't know.
They might have had a way of telling 80 degrees. Like, they
probably figured, like,
they probably
it wasn't quite boiling, and because if you boil this stuff, you'll kill off the enzymes that you need to, like, make. Because I know with mead,
they probably had a dude named Thermometer, and he would stick his finger in there and be like, 80 degrees.
Yeah. Well, anyway, they would heat it up to some temperature that they figure might have been around 80 degrees.
Indeed.
Anyway, yeah, so they combine the hot and cold mashes together so that they can convert their starches into sugars and whatnot. And then they cool them down and sieve them to separate the grains. And then they stick them straight into a vessel where the yeast, they cultivate the yeast in this vessel. And then after they were done smashing everything together and separating the grain from the liquid, they stick it straight into the yeast pot. And then, yeah, they cover it with like a muslin cloth to allow for gas exchange. And they would drink it while it was still actively fermenting, which probably had some like probiotic benefits for them.
Like kombucha? Kombucha?
Yeah.
These guys were such hipsters.
I know.
That's fine.
With their makeup and all that stuff. I don't know.
Do you think they gave it to they gave it to the workers. Do you think they drank the same stuff as the workers?
I would assume so. Unless there was like a more refined drink for the royalty, but I don't know. It could be.
Because like ancient Egyptian history is all we know from hieroglyphics, because they didn't really have a written language, right? Like, this is just me questioning reality, which
I think hieroglyphs are technically written. I mean, I guess I guess it's in the same vein as like our emojis, I guess. I don't know.
So they had emojis to tell you that the workers drank the same stuff as the royalty. There might have been a little discrepancies. Maybe they just gave the fermented stuff to the bubbly alcohol to the people. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that is so unknown, even though we claim to know it. It's a very weird reality that we live in.
Let's just pretend that they're right.
Bam! I like it. What's this picture with the conga line of.
Oh yeah. So that dude in the front there, the little dude that's sitting down, I guess they were just serving beer and food like a restaurant. I guess like he's just sitting down, chilling, and getting food given to him. So, yeah, a little sculpture of that happening. What's that guy doing in the middle? Like he's just like he's got his arms out.
Like a.
Is he about to fall?
He drank too much of that fermented beer over there. It might be.
Yeah, it might be good. Apparently, these kids in a college recreated this beer. Like, I guess they were able to kind of guess what they did.
They made they wrote a story. Okay. I'm gonna be a dick right now. Whenever somebody says we recreated something from the past, they're just fucking making a story up. Like, we read the hieroglyphics and we did this. Give us money. You want to come see it and taste it. It's the past. Ooh. The guy at the back left. He's got like a rhinoceros penis mask on his crotch. What's going on there?
That might be a conch. It might be.
That's what they called it back then? Hey, baby.
I don't know.
I like that conch.
What the fuck do you call them? I don't know. It might just be a little thing that's holding like grapes and shit.
Are you ever going to do another podcast with me again?
You're entertaining. That's for sure. Let me think here. Yeah. So yeah, that all came from the British Museum. Those visuals. If you had them up, that's where they came from.
I do.
Yep. So now the Greeks, they had Dionysus, which that was the equivalent of that other Hathor individual, the goddess. Dionysus was the Greek god of fertility and theater and pleasure and wine, basically just a party guy. And they had festivals honoring Dionysus for 3 days. So they would just drink wine and party and stuff for 3 days. And as far as archaeologists know, I think they were the first to actually grow vineyards. And for a long time, their main exports were like olive oil and wine. So they would share the love with other peeps around them. So, yep. Yeah, not a whole lot on that. Just kind of like their gods and everything. They're the wine people. And then, yeah, Honduras. There were a Puerto Escondido, early archaeological evidence of cacao liqueur in 1000 BC. Yeah, so things kind of taper off from there. This could be a very long topic, but yeah, I mean, those were the very beginnings. You know, you learned about the first people to start brewing and why we can digest ethanol, and just all kinds of fun stuff. And we talked about some deep philosophical topics as well.
We totally did. Dionysus, I just want to go back to him for a second. The god of fertility and wine. Now, I have some questions about this. Fertility and wine. Fertility and wine.
I don't know if you ever experienced this, but when you get drunk, you want to fuck.
Well, everybody, this was episode 2 of Origins of Things and Stuff. I think we've gotten to the nut of it. We've talked a lot about it. Is there anything you would like to promote or talk about? Anything other than?
Well, you know what? I gotta say that thanks to Nick the Rat. If you ever are interested, listen to Nick the Rat Radio. I'm assuming that most of you who are listening already do. Nick the Rat Radio Wednesday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern time.
You're gonna get more views than I do. I'm the monkey on your back right now. But
and I don't even pay you in booze though. I'm just kind of use you for your expertise, and then I just say stuff, and then we joke. That's the show.
I'm trying to milk your brain. That's what I'm trying to do. I think your brain is awesome, Illuminati.
I have a milky brain. It's full of. This is getting weird. Let's stop while we're ahead.
Do you,
ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes episode 2. Listen to No Agenda, folks. These guys are an excellent. I've been drinking their mug, as you can see. It's a microphone and sickle. That's a thing that they do. They're great. Adam Curry is the podfather. He's the guy that started this in the first place, and I admire him. This kind of like inspired me to get doing this stuff in the first place. I don't want to talk about politics at all unless we're talking about the origins of politics. I feel like there's plenty of them out there that talk about this, and Adam Curry and John C. Dvorak do an excellent job deconstructing this stuff. So kudos to them. I am not good at it. I depend on them, but I do find things and origins of things very interesting. So there you go. I just kind of rambled. Sorry.
No, that's fine. All right. Well, we'll be back next week with more origins of things and stuff.
Utas.
Uta! It sounds like Klingon right there. All right,
it's like a Klingon war cry.
Uta! I'm gonna 5, 4, 3, 2.